Namaste everyone. So this video is going to be a short introduction to my small workshop on the topic of eclipses, which you can already purchase on my website. And why I even decided to do this workshop on the eclipses is because eclipses, are greatly misunderstood, So for example, in India, very often people used to say that they are very negative, full of negative or polluting energy. While here in the West, people very often tend to glorify them, how great they are, how beautiful spiritual they are. And the truth is, that eclipses are neither good nor bad. Some eclipses are a little bit better, a little bit more supportive, a little bit more auspicious. And some eclipses have a little bit heavier energy. So in this little workshop, we'll be actually learning how to analyze eclipses, how to understand them a little bit more, how to understand life lessons which they bring with itself, and how to understand whether these eclipses will bring more challenging energy or whether they're going to bring more uplifting energy. And keep in mind that it's not going to be the same for everybody. So for example, for people who are seeing the fullness of eclipse, so for the people living in these areas of the world where the eclipse is fully visible, the eclipse will have some particular effect. But for the people who see only the ending moment of eclipse or only the beginning moment of the eclipse itself will have different influence. And then additionally, based on your personal birth chart, based in which nakshatra from your moon the eclipse is happening, in which house, from your ascendant or from the moon the eclipse is happening, different result is going to be brought forth, different result is going to occur. So this is something that we are going to discuss on this little workshop on the topic of eclipses, and we are going to put also a great emphasis on prenatal astrology as well, and understanding the eclipses which happened when you were still in the womb of your mother. Why we are going to analyze that and why we are going to put so big importance onto that is because when you were in the womb of your mother, you were completely surrounded by water, right? And the eclipses, above all, they're actually obstructing water element in our body. This is why actually many people feel that physically they need to drink more water during the time of eclipses. That's why people are more agitated also, emotionally, due to the water element being disturbed in our own body. So imagine when you're still in the womb of your mother, right? And some so powerful influence, appeared there, it most likely actually produced some very intense trauma there, So these houses in which eclipses happen, these nakshatras in which eclipses happen when you are still in the womb of your mother are extremely important, and they can be actually keys for understanding some of your traumas or some of the things which you never understood quite clearly, why they were happening like that in your life, because maybe your birth chart didn't reveal it that clearly. So this is something that we are also going to discuss in depth on this course. So in Vedic astrology, we usually associate, this influence of the eclipses mostly with the qualities of Rahu, with grasping something, overshadowing something. But in reality, eclipse is not only about Rahu, because also Ketu takes part in that. So eclipse does not only overshadow something, does not only grasp something or block energy, but it also releases it, This is why in the eclipse we have two most important moments, the moment of sparsha or contact. So this is the moment when the orb of the sun or the moon is for the first time touched by the shadow. And then we have the moment of moksha, release, liberation, when the orb of the sun or the moon is finally released from the shadow. So during the time of eclipses, it's not only that something is blocked, it's not only that energy is blocked, but it's also released. So what is exactly happening energetically in our body and then in this exact sphere of our life where eclipse is occurring is that the energy is temporarily blocked there, I always like to give this exact example. It's like if you just take your hand, right, and just hold it very strongly for a moment, you see that hand will become very white, right, for a moment. But then when you release it, there is suddenly even more energy. The hand suddenly becomes red, because blood and the life force starts to flow more powerfully. There becomes more prana. And even in some yogic techniques, even in Kriya Yoga techniques, you have exact techniques during which you are blocking temporarily your life force or holding your breath for a moment. So when you release the breathing again, it's more full of prana. It's more full of life. So this is also a very important thing when it comes to the eclipses, to understand that they really don't bring only this negative result. Not only the grasping element is here, but also releasing is here. And releasing part is very important. And now, depending whether in your time zone during the time of eclipse both grasping and releasing are visible, or only releasing is visible, or only grasping is visible, this is how you can understand also what is going to be the result of this eclipse on this exact area. So scriptures also give and say that there are certain activities which are actually not auspicious to be done during the time of eclipse. And these activities are eating, first of all, procreation as well, so having sexual contact. Also, this is sleeping. This is also having a bath, as well as urinating and passing a stool. And you might ask yourself, these are pretty random activities. And why, you might ask yourself, we shouldn't do those things, right? Especially going to toilet, because we don't really always have that much influence on that, right? And why scriptures say that we should not do any of those activities? Because all those activities have something very prominent in common. That during all those activities, our chakras are actually fully open. Whether you eat, your chakras are fully open. This is why it's said, that when you're eating, you should either eat in silence, or listening to bhajans, or listening to the stories of the Lord, but definitely never watch TV, or scroll or your mobile when you're eating, because you're actually getting directly impacted by that energy. This energy enters into you more easily. Similarly, when we are sleeping, we are also more open, more sensitive, to the astral world. When we are having, again, when we are in the process of sexual activity as well, we are fully open, Also, when we are taking a bath, physically the pores of your body are open as well. And when we are urinating and passing a stool, so when we are literally in the toilet, we are also more open, because then, our entire energy is focused on actually removal of some negativities. So why we shouldn't do any of those activities during the time of eclipses? Because first of all, we become more open, energetically open, to invite, this disturbing energy of Rahu and Ketu being present very powerfully during the eclipses. But also important thing is, that during eclipse itself, some deep transformation is happening within you. And you don't want to interfere with that process. The more you interfere with that process, with any external fruitive activities, the more, unfortunately, you're going to be impacted negatively by that. In fact, we are trying during the eclipses, to support that process. And how do we support that process? By being in meditation, by being in the prayer, connected with the divine, so you can actually, harness this energy in the most positive way. Because you see, during the time of eclipses, also Kundalini Shakti is very powerful. So in fact, the energy of eclipses, can greatly help us also in our spiritual development, On spiritual level, eclipses are really great, because they help us to transform something within ourselves. And also, during the time of eclipses, you have this perfect alignment between sun, moon and earth, which is also, very supportive, for this awakening of our spiritual potential and spiritual energy. But eclipses don't have good impact, on material world, you could say. In majority of cases, not always, but in majority of cases, they are rather disturbing on material level, while they are uplifting on spiritual level. Which is why it's best always during the time of eclipses to just stay in meditation or stay in prayer, stay connected with the divine. In fact, it will also, protect you, It will also give you some sort of protection and a blessing for this time period. So that was just my very short introduction video to the workshop on eclipses, which you can purchase now on my website. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Namaste.